This is Brain Software, episode 101.
Hurrah!
We are seeding the clouds. That's right. Here at the Shizjig Corporation's Geoengineering Center just left of CERN, we're pumping thousands of pounds of silver iodide into the stratosphere just to see what will happen. And the storm's growing.
Whatever happened to that old tranquility we used to know?
Well, you won't find it here, but let it be known. These are days of victory! Yes, dear friends, these are strange days, but we're here to help you ride that hypnotic storm that's raging worldwide, the storm that we created. Welcome, fellow storm riders. You're officially a rider on the hypnotic storm that splashes through chemtrails and devours hypnotic scripts everywhere.
We are not meteorologists!
No, we're not meteorologists. So welcome to the pilot seat of our brand new Storm Rider Jump Jet, the relentless renegade of all rationality, Jack Ruby's worst nightmare,
yes,
and the man who sent Gus Grissom to Mars, Mike Mandel.
Yes, Chris, we're back again with 101. We've completed our first 100 podcasts, and what an enjoyable journey it has been.
Because these are days of victory.
Indeed they are.
How can it not be victorious to
Right
claim
on.
100 awesome episodes? So here's 101. All right, so today in episode 101, I think we have a really good show. Probably,
really good show.
I always say that. Really good show, really good show. I always say we have a good show, but today is going to be awesome because we are going to talk about hypnosis. You just finished reading a new book called
Mirroring Hands by Ernest Rossi. Phenomenal book.
So, and Rossi's well known in the hypnosis circles.
Well, Rossi, he studied with Erickson directly, and just a phenomenal psychologist.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Mirroring Hands. I have not read the book yet. You're going to hand it over to me when you're done with it, I'm sure.
Not going to happen.
And you'll have to take a photo to prove that I borrowed it from you. So you can delete the photo when I return the book to you. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be great for those of you who are hypnotists, and those of you who are not. I'm sure we'll find a way.
There's a lot of self-application in it, you'll find.
Yeah, and then the real beef of the podcast beyond that is going to be not a foreshadowing of our lunch, which is going to be hamburgers.
Beef, a lot of beef, yeah.
But the beef of episode 101 is we're going to spend some time talking about the 100 Days of Awesome challenge that we've been doing on Instagram, and we're going to recap some of the best material and explain it in more glanative depth.
And I still have to post mine today. Have you posted yours yet?
No, we're going to do ours together. Today, is it day 14 today?
It is day 14.
Today, we're going to do a joint Instagram video.
Nice.
Day 14. All right, so let's begin. Before we begin with the Mirroring Hands and the 100 Days of Awesome, let's talk about what's coming up, because we've got... Stop moving around making all that noise in the microphone.
I like to shift around.
It's that jacket that you're wearing.
It's the excitement, the brilliant 5-year-old at work.
So we're gonna just do a quick promotion here of some stuff that's coming up. So we have nailed down the amazing James trip coming to Toronto.
And Chris, let me just say, in keeping with our plan to not only provide the best classroom and online hypnosis training on the planet, which we really consistently aim for and think we're hitting, we're also committed to bringing the finest trainers to Toronto. We brought Carl Smith last year. We just had Melissa Tears, and we're bringing in the legendary James Tripp, who is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and I would urge you to check out what he's got at hypnosiswithouttrance.com, because you will see that James is an amazing hypnotist, NLP practitioner, trainer,
martial artist and presenter.
Smart guy, great material.
British, good humor.
It fits in so well with the kind of stuff that we teach. So we're bringing him to Toronto September 22nd and 23rd. That's a Saturday, Sunday. And it's going to be a 2-day training that's interesting in that we combined the two most popular topics that we polled our own students on. So James had presented a few ideas, and the two that really resonated with our audience were, 1, a day on hypnotic phenomena, and 2, a day on hypnotic change work. So instead of doing one weekend on either of those topics, we've combined it, one day of each. It's going to be amazing. And you wanted to add something to that?
Well, I do, because we found it really works well. We bring in a great trainer for a weekend, and then the Friday we offer a single day on a different topic that you and I will co-teach.
Right.
So we just did mindscaping, a one-day certification in mindscaping. We had a huge turnout for that, and we set people loose on the world using this remarkable tool. Well, this time we're going to do a course we haven't taught in a couple of years at University of Toronto, which is my own graphology course, a one-day intensive where people will learn both the American trait stroke graphology and the European Gestalt system together in this remarkable means of determining what makes people tick. You'll be able to look at a birthday card from years ago and know the mental state and the pathology of the person who wrote it. It is accurate beyond belief, and we're going to mix that in and have a long weekend. Me doing the one day, then James trip, so people can do both. And I just want to say, I can see you inching up the microphone to attempt to speak. Very wild.
Yeah.
But we just announced it yesterday, and we've already sold 3 tickets to both events.
I just very casually mentioned it because as of the time we're recording this right now, the so-called sales page for the James Tripp weekend doesn't even really have any details on it. It just says day 1, put some more words here. Day 2, put some more words here. I've generally described that it's going to be one day on hypnotic phenomena, one day on change, and people just are buying tickets because they know James Tripp. The guy's awesome. That's what's going to cause this course to be full. James is an amazing trainer. Okay, so the Friday, September 21st is Graphology. The September 22nd and 23rd weekend is James. You can find out all about that over at MikeMandelHypnosis.com/events. End of commercial.
Excellent, Chris. Let's talk. I want to talk to you about mirroring hands. This is such a remarkable hypnotic technique. And as our frequent listeners know, those who are addicted to the podcast, to the degree that I worked with a Skype client yesterday doing mind Skyping, and he said he's listened to all our podcasts twice through. We hear that a lot.
Of course.
And nice bit of pride and arrogance there. You're growing up, son. But the interesting thing about it is our podcast is about NLP, hypnosis, personal change, personal growth. And he came in through the NLP route by doing a search on that through iTunes.
Yes.
So I want to talk specifically about hypnosis today with this particular thing. Mirroring Hands is a wonderful book, and it's pretty deep. Rossi, who is brilliant, goes into even epigenetics, causing gene expression through hypnosis, causing amazing change work with people in very short time. And he's talking about something that I've been talking about for a few years, at least 5 years, Chris, with mindscaping.
Well, but he wrote on a book on it first, so he wins.
It's not the same. You have no idea where I'm going with this.
I'm just
trying to jump in and be me. When you're going to interrupt, here's a hint that'll help you.
Be humorous.
Yeah, make it funny.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, he's talking about something I talked about for 5 years. Remember when we do mindscaping? We said the changes will continue to resonate for days or even weeks afterwards. He talks about that same thing. And he talks about change occurring with Ultradian Rhythms. So during a 90-minute to an hour and a half to 2 hour
what is an ultradian rhythm?
Your ultradian rhythms are the rhythms that run through your neurology, your psychology, your physical body, and they run in 90-minute to 2 hour cycles. So you go through a peak performance cycle, and then you sink down into a recovery cycle where your body is healing and integrating. Yeah.
Okay.
So what Rossi's doing that's so interesting is with this mirroring hands protocol, which is so flexible, like mindscaping. It's a jazz piece. You can improvise all over the place. He's waving at me because I'm making my jacket.
Every time you move, your jacket makes horrible noises.
Expressive. I guess I'll have to just take this jacket off.
We can't edit that out.
So anyway, the bottom line is he's talking about how you're changing things at the level of genes through this kind of intervention. And it's wonderfully improvisational. Chris, I think of it this way. If you say you're having trouble sleeping, say you have a bit of insomnia tonight.
Okay,
say that
thanks
you lie
for the
awake
embedded command.
So you're lying in bed. He says you can send all those bad feelings. Now listen to the dissociation, the ADAC and everything in this, associate, collapse. He said you can send all those bad feelings into one of your hands. So you say, which of my hands is the best repository of all these feelings of insomnia right now? And one hand will tingle or go cataleptic or something. I did this the other night, and you acknowledge it. You send all those bad feelings fully into that hand and out of your head. Then you say, what do I want in the other hand instead? Oh, feelings of lightness and whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're waking up. Like it's nuts how well it worked for self-hypnosis for sleep, just by moving things into the hands. He's got a paradigm that basically dissociates the bad feelings to encapsulate it into one hand that your brain picks which one it is. Then when they're fully shifted, your hand is cataleptic and in front of you. So you can do this with a client, as I did in Architecture of Hypnosis working with Mike.
Yes.
Put all the bad feelings in one hand. What do you want in the other hand? and the person starts talking about what they think is there, which will be the opposite. And then you just watch, and the hands move on their own.
Yeah.
And the one is sinking down, absorbing the bad stuff. Then he dropped them. He threw them on the floor. We sealed up the place that the feelings came from with the other hand. And he had this major shift in just a couple of minutes. The thing I love about this work by Ernest Rossi is the intelligence behind it, the research behind it, and the fact that it automatically builds in catalepsy and dissociation and creates hypnotic phenomena incredibly.
Okay, so can people buy this book and, even if they're not hypnotists, use it for self-work?
It's deep. I think you should have some background in hypnosis or NLP, but if you do, I say jump in and give it a shot, because he teaches how to do self-work with it. And it's remarkable because then he gets the ultradian rhythm working on your behalf, so it continues through the day. During the down cycle, the brain is continuing to integrate. So it's Mirroring Hands, a Practitioner's Guide by Ernest Rossi, Rossi. And for all our hypnotists and therapists out there, I recommend pick up this book and tell them Mike and Chris sent you.
Okay, awesome. I wish I had like some cool sound effect queued up at this point so we could segue to the next topic.
That's my kookaburra.
That was just brilliant, Mike.
Thanks, buddy.
It was absolutely
Birds are very much with us these days.
They are. So with that said, then let's shift our discussion over to the 100 Days of Awesome.
Take it away,
which is really all about me, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And even when it isn't about you,
it's about you. Yeah. I love that line. What are you guys talking about? You. But what do you... No, seriously, what are you talking about?
Talking about you. But what do you mean by that? We mean you. Well, where did you get this idea? From you.
Say that. Just use that. It's such great comedy. Okay, 100 Days of Awesome. On podcast 100, which was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We introduced this idea of a 100-day challenge to do 100 days to make your life even more awesome. So whether you have a great life now or you have a life that you think has a ton of weaknesses and lots of things to repair and fix, make it more awesome than it is already. And so we started this whole thing, and the idea was, in part, it's for us too, because we're going to be experimenting with using Instagram to post 1-minute videos onto our channel. And it wasn't something we'd done a lot of. We thought, let's just try it out. The cool thing about Instagram is there's a little toggle button when you go to publish your video that will also send it to our Facebook page.
Nice.
So if you want to go to facebook.com/Mike Mandel Hypnosis,
one L in Mandel.
You can do that. Yeah, 1 L in Mandel. And the videos are there too. So every single day, Mike and I have each been posting a 1-minute video. So it's literally 2 minutes of content a day that is lots of little brain nuggets, things to help you.
Game-changing stuff. Things that we have found have dramatically improved the quality of our lives. Because let's face it, guys, there's two kinds of people in the world. There's those who do what they want to do in life and have an absolute blast, and there's everybody else. And we have made concerted decisions, Chris and I, to have the kind of life we want. We have engineered and designed our lives, and we're having a freaking blast. We want to share with everybody how we've done it and how we continue to do it.
And we want you to join us.
That's right.
All right. So in keeping with that philosophy, we're using podcast 101 here to summarize some of the content that we discussed over the last 13 days of the challenge. Right. Today is day 14 for us now, so we haven't done that. So we went through this morning when we were planning this podcast, 26 topics, and have consolidated them down, eliminated the ones that we don't think are worthy of bringing into this summary edition. But let's start, Mike. So we got the paper in front of me here, rattling that paper.
Just bring that paper on.
Let's start with a quick overview of where this all came from. So a few years ago, Mike and I put together a product called the Wellness Academy because we were really inspired to do more scientifically based around living a healthier lifestyle when it came to exercise and fitness and eating. And so we came up with this acronym, DAM, DAM. You can think of it metaphorically as something that's holding you back from achieving wellness in your life.
Nice.
And wellness is whatever's holding back the wellness is the DAM, D-A-M, diet, activity, and mental game. And so obviously mental game is something we spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about, teaching, learning. That's what we love.
Yeah.
But that mental game really is foundational Like if you were to think about it as being the base.
Well, totally.
Right?
Without the mental game, I think a lot of stuff fails, whether it's people attempting to lose weight and failing or get in shape or have better relationships. Unless you're putting the mental game in place and dealing with the stuff that holds you back mentally, the change will be just emotional and short term.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're interconnected, all the three pieces, because you can't really have a great mental game. Your brain is not going to perform at its best if you're not getting, let's say, appropriate exercise and eating an appropriate diet. If you're not fueling your body with the right stuff, it's hard for your brain, which is part of your body, to function correctly. So they all are
everything is an interlocked system.
Yeah, like
for sure.
three gears that work together. Anyway, diet, activity, mental game. So that's where this all came from. And we wanted to start with, well, where do you want to start? What's on this list do you feel like?
You got the list, buddy. Why don't you just take that and just run with it?
Okay, so let's jump in because we don't want to obsess at length. If you want more, go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/wellness if you want more on the exercise piece and the diet piece. But we should address it that we believe that one of the healthiest ways that you can eat, supported by science, is to avoid sugar and avoid grain. That doesn't mean never again eating those things.
Right,
it just
which
means,
is a disaster.
For the most part, feed your body appropriately. If it comes to people who want to lose weight, for example, you generally cannot accomplish that in the long run by starving yourself or by out-exercising a crappy diet. So if you want to lose weight...
Hang on. That is a freaking great term, Chris, and I've never heard that in my life. I've never heard you say that. Out-exercising a crappy diet. You want to expound on that?
Yeah, there's
expound.
I'm searching
Say more.
I'm searching in my brain here for the other way I've heard people say it, but I like the way I just said it off the cuff there.
I like the way you said it too.
You basically cannot exercise your way out of a... I was going to swear.
Don't.
Out of a crappy diet.
Uh-oh.
So if you're feeding your body the wrong kinds of food, it's going to be very difficult for you to have the energy to out-exercise that crappy diet.
So it's like if you got your car and you put like dirty fuel in it, dirty gasoline.
You can't clean the inside of it or whatever.
By driving faster.
Yeah. You can't take it around the track a few extra times. And so, no metaphor is perfect, but you get the idea.
That one's pretty damn close.
And this really all comes down. We recommend, for people who want to know more about the diet component, Mark Sisson's book, The Primal Blueprint, is a fantastic
book.
Simple stuff. And you'll love it. But really, it comes down to your body is a mechanism that wants to stay in this state of homeostasis. Your body wants to stay controlled, just like your body will automatically adjust your rate of breathing when you need to urinate, sweating if you're exercising.
Going to bed when you're tired.
You'll immediately feel this need to put more or less clothes on depending on the temperature. Go to sleep. You'll feel hunger automatically. So that leads to the idea of people wanting to maintain a proper body composition by starving themselves or semi-starvation. It's actually, when you do a calorie-restricted diet, that's actually known scientifically as semi-starvation.
Sure it is.
It is, of course, makes sense, right?
Which is the foundation for things like Weight Watchers.
Our philosophy is you should not have to ever think about the food that you put in your mouth in terms of calorie content. It should be autopilot because it's driven by hormones. By eating the right kinds of foods, you will naturally feel hungry at the appropriate times. You will naturally feel satiated at the appropriate times, and you will not overeat. You will not have to count calories, this concept that didn't exist 100 years ago. So that led us to create the Wellness Academy, et cetera. But simple message here is if you avoid sugars, which really means don't drink fruit juice, don't drink pop,
soda,
don't eat all the crappy desserts that are loaded with sugar. And most people kind of know that. You shouldn't eat O. Henry's and Snickers bars if you're trying to lose weight. But the grains are the other important factor because grains are basically just a bunch of sugar molecules stuck together. So rice is a grain, wheat, corn, those are all grains. Those are all the cheap grains. And on top of that, things like, you don't want to overconsume potatoes, not a grain. It's a tuber, I guess, technically, right?
Yeah.
But if you avoid those kinds of foods and avoid vegetable oils, then what are you left with? The good stuff that you want to eat more of.
Lots of vegetables.
Meat. Low starch.
If you're good with
low starch
dairy,
vegetables.
Cheese, eggs.
Whole fruit, not overly sweet, like not tons of bananas, but
berries.
And eat your fruit in whole fruit rather than juice. So that's the diet and the diet component. We'll talk about the activity next, and then we'll talk about mental game stuff. So Mike's doing the whole keep it going. All right. So
think it's keep it going signal. It's the wrap it up signal.
Yeah, they're
very similar.
Keep it going into the next topic.
Oh, got it. Right.
So that's the diet component. There are some videos that we've done on that and things that you can eat. Go to Instagram to find more about it. But now let's talk a bit about exercise. So first of all, I want to bring up the topic of this awesome book that I just picked up my own copy of. I got my dad to buy it and I was flipping through his. But then I thought, you know what? I want this on my bookshelf. Here's a book by Doug McGruff. McGuff. I said it wrong. Doug McGuff, MD, and his co-author, John Little, is the co-author. Yeah. And the book is called Body by Science. And Mike, you just came over and I had you read a couple of pages.
You just got me read a couple of pages, and I found it really, really interesting. I used to be a runner in my youth, and I never did huge distance. I just did it for my own enjoyment. But I did 4 days a week. I'd run 10K, which is 6 miles. Mm-hmm. And that was a really nice run for me. I'd run rain or shine, preferably in the rain. And
why were you doing that?
For cardio, because my dad died young, right? And but then, interestingly, when I switched to bodyweight exercises, Hindu squats and things like that, all of a sudden, I stopped running. Mm-hmm. I stopped running on the treadmill, too. We had a Trotter treadmill, which I've gotten rid of. And I found out, paradoxically, by doing 200 squats, I was suddenly able to do a higher level on the treadmill that I had never been able to do when I was running.
Yeah. And so I sent you a video on YouTube that I actually got from my friend Renee in Germany. Our friend Renee in Germany sent me this YouTube video of Doug McGuff talking about metabolism. It was an excellent video. And I encourage people to check out his book. It's probably easier, Body by Science. But here's the thing. He gave in this video presentation this explanation about metabolism and cellular metabolism, Krebs citric acid cycle,
Krebs cycle,
and all these other things that cause the cell to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate.
Right now. Yeah.
All of this sciencey stuff. But here's the cool thing. He said there is no part of your metabolism that is directly connected to your heart, your so-called cardio.
Oh, that's interesting. Right? That's a distinction.
It doesn't happen that way. Cellular metabolism is cellular metabolism. Thanks for the tautology, Chris. Yes, I know. But there is no part of that metabolism
is at the cellular level.
Yeah, and it's not connected to your heart, and therefore there is cardio metabolism and there's other metabolism.
Okay.
And it gets complex, and he talks about pyruvate being an input into all these different things. But bottom line is that if you want to get better cardio results, running or other so-called cardio exercises are actually a really lousy way to do it, because the best way to do it is to drive your muscles to complete failure so that they give the oxygen requiring part of your metabolism the biggest possible input.
You think that people should never run, and that's just stupid. I know is I ran and I got really good cardio.
Yes,
and people run for all kinds of reasons.
So this leads to a video that Mike did on I can't remember which day it was, but one of the first 13 days here. You did a video on interpretation, and so let's just make sure we close this part of the zygarnic loop. That the bottom line is that you can get better results, cardio, muscle, everything, by exercising at a very high level of intensity for a very short period of time. And if you pick up this book, Chapter 2 goes into it, and he talks about these studies done at McMaster University here in Canada. And they'll lead you down the correct path. So we're not going to beat a dead horse here.
Good.
Point being, don't worry about long, drawn-out workouts where you run for miles.
You're training to failure.
Yeah. So exactly. You want to train to failure, and you want to do it over a very short period of time. And the studies talked about, for example, some athletes that did some very short sprint workouts. Literally over a period of a week, we're talking about 6 minutes of working out, something like that. And then over a couple of weeks, their cardio systems improved like 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So from 6 minutes of working out per week, how's that possible? Well, they didn't run miles and miles and miles.
Right.
Okay. So this leads to interpretation. Mike did a video. Do you want to just recap?
The video I did, one of the 100 Days of Awesome video, was about do not interpret. Listen to what someone actually says. So I just did that with Chris. He made the comment that, running is not the best way to get cardiovascular fitness. It's kind of a stupid way to do it.
Nor is swimming.
Or a lot of other things. Right. Licking envelopes.
Basically any exercise that doesn't drive you to failure.
Instead of listening to his actual words, I reprocessed it and came back. You think that people who just and you're saying this is what we hear.
You're saying
all
running
the time.
You're saying running is stupid,
right?
Well, I actually didn't say that, right?
But and if he was saying that, he wouldn't need you to tell him because he'd already know he's saying it.
Yeah.
This
Thank you, Captain Obvious. It's
Captain Obvious, it is. And we must remember to listen to what people actually say. It's such a peculiar thing. And you'll be in a discussion with someone, our listeners. You'll be talking to someone, and they will completely misinterpret you. Yeah. And the way to handle it that I like to do is put my hands in front of me as though I'm holding something the size of a Kleenex box and say, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Let's put that aside. And I'll move my hands to the side to spatially anchor it to the side and say, here's what I'm actually saying, and repeat it and clarify
It's probably better than my strategy of jumping down people's throats.
You don't jump down people's throats.
Not always.
You're pretty fair, yeah.
Sometimes if I'm annoyed, though, I can. So I'll give you an example. I won't name names, but I was having a conversation earlier today.
With his wife.
It was my wife.
Okay.
And I said
to
her, I said, honey, this book, Body by Science, really interesting. And so notice that I'm not claiming ownership for this phrase.
Nice, yeah.
I said, he makes the point that running and things like that, so you could include swimming or biking, are actually stupid ways to get a better they're kind of stupid forms of exercise. Now, he didn't actually say that in his book. I'm paraphrasing him.
So it is you saying it after all.
I'm paraphrasing him, but she did not listen to what I actually said. She wanted to interpret it and project upon me that I said running is stupid, which is not at all. I said if I was taking ownership, it would be the statement, running is a stupid form of exercise. Now, I'm not saying that, so those of you who are runners, just please bear with me through this comment.
You're forced to say
I know. I'm not saying that.
What I'm not saying.
So here's what he's actually saying. He is saying that running is a poor form of exercise. It's a poor choice if you want to get in good shape. Okay? There are much better ways of doing it.
Better choices.
He does back it up by science. But so in saying this to my wife, saying, oh, well, he made this point about how running is a bad form of exercise, the comment that she made to me was, well, some people just really enjoy running. So, who are you to tell them that's a bad idea? Hold on a second. Didn't say it was a bad idea. And I came back and said, look, watching TV is also a poor form of exercise. No, it's absurd, right? Obviously,
typical form of
obviously, nobody would consider TV watching.
I'm just listening to you digging yourself out of this deep hole.
I don't care if I'm in a hole. Nobody would consider TV watching to be a form of exercise, right? But that doesn't mean people can't enjoy it.
You're saying that people who watch TV are stupid.
So
listen to the words people say.
It's totally fine if you enjoy running or you enjoy hopping on your bike and doing...
You're back to the fitness discussion. And I'm attempting and failing to get you off diet and fitness and onto this thing about listening to what people actually say.
That's what I'm saying, Mike. That's what I'm doing right now. If you want to enjoy an activity, that's wonderful. Enjoying something and something being good for you for the purpose of exercise or the purpose of whatever it is are two different things. You can enjoy lying in bed at night. You can enjoy reading Twitter on your iPad in the morning. Whatever you want to do, that doesn't mean that it's good exercise or a good diet. I enjoy eating cookies. Guess what? That doesn't mean that I think they're good for me from a diet perspective, right? So I won't do them. I won't do that very often. All right, so that's enough on that.
Oh man, we really wrung every pin. Sweatman himself would have been proud with us on that one.
But
so
it is
another 100 days of awesome.
Interpret. Listen to what people are actually freaking saying, not interpretation. Okay, so I think we've exhausted the idea that people can read the book if they want to know more of the exercise, but do hard exercise in a short period of time.
He's back on it.
There you go. So now. Let's talk about this one. There are no refunds in your life when it comes to your calendar and your time. Yeah. So I did a video on jobs versus careers.
Yeah.
And I was telling Mike about it because he hadn't seen that one. And I said, when it comes down to the end of your life or things that you've spent time on, there are no refunds, right? You can't say, I want a refund on that part of my life. You can't. Time is gone. Just like the time I wasted explaining that,
that's a really good point. I know a magician who is reasonably skilled. He's never done much with his career. He lives in Toronto. And every time I meet with him, I basically say, how are you? And he says sort of the same thing. He said, I feel like my life has been a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine thinking that about your life?
Yeah. So let's keep this short and move on. But basically, if you are doing something with your life that takes a lot of your time,
like exercise,
so sleep, like talking about exercise.
Carbohydrates, yeah.
So sleeping is a big one, right? Okay. If you had a crappy mattress and you spent 8 hours a day lying in your bed trying to get a good night's sleep, but you can't because it's a crappy mattress, probably a good idea to get a better mattress. Or if you're dealing with insomnia because you have a crappy mattress, no.
Yeah.
If you're, these are things you spend a lot of time doing. You want to do them well and you want to enjoy them, right? So that makes sense.
It does.
Well, what are the things people spend a lot of time doing? And I don't mean watching TV. Generating income, right? Most people have a job or a career of some sort that is their main way of generating enough money.
It's going to require an amount of time, a time commitment that they will not get back, and it should be a useful way of doing it.
And I think it's an important thing to say to yourself, do I love what I do for money? Do I love it? And
Aristotle, we're back to Aristotle. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Now, I want to credit a friend of mine and yours, Yahya Bakar.
Oh, yeah. Yahya's freaking amazing.
Now, I'm sure he probably heard this somewhere else, too, and he can tell us where he heard it. But he said to us, if something's not a hell yeah, then it's a hell no. Right? So ask yourself, don't think of the analog spectrum of, like the dimmer switch on a light in your dining room, the light dimmer switch, turn it all the way up.
Analog, right.
Think of it's either freaking bright as heck, it's really on, or it's off.
Yep.
Which is your job, your career, whatever it is you do for money? Is it a hell yeah or a hell no? Ask yourself. Because if it's not a hell yeah, if it's not, I really love this, then it's a hell no. You're settling for mediocrity.
And people, I feel so sorry, Chris, for people who just dread going into work every day.
And you don't have to. Nobody's making you do what you're doing now. You're
saying they should go on welfare.
Probably nobody holding a gun to your head saying, if you do not continue doing this job for the rest of your life, I will pull the trigger and you will die, right?
Right.
That'll just happen all by itself.
I love that question, Chris. And it's, again, job or, what did you say? Job or career. Job or vocation.
Yeah.
The whole thing of what product or service can you offer to the world that you can do better than anybody else? If you can find your unique niche,
yes,
everything becomes easy.
And if you just spend some time thinking about what you want and that target state, then what do you need to get there? And we crossed this one off our list, but it does kind of fit in, so I'll say it really quickly. Figure it out. What is it that you would actually rather do? Okay. Then think about it. If 1 year, 2 years down the road, you had accomplished that, i.e. that target state, what you want, what did you do? What did you have to get done? What did you have to learn? What skills did you have to build? What relationships did you have to build? What new networking did you have to do to make that happen? Imagine it like it's already happened, and then think back in time. That's your prescription.
How did you do it? Now, that's the as-if frame, and it's beautiful. Act as if you've already achieved it, and how did you do it? Look back. I've helped clients with this. It's an amazingly powerful thing. And again, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
We're just one on our list items here.
Think about it. When Chris and I started MMHA years ago, and he took over all my hypnosis training, put the podcast out there, said we're going to put everything out to the world. That was how many years ago? 7 years?
A long time ago.
Yeah, but it's gone in a blink.
And it's been one bite at a time,
and
right?
But it's gone in a blink. It's gone really quickly. Mm-hmm. Now we can look back with a satisfaction that we have built something with this, but if you just keep plodding along and making the changes work for you, they accumulate over time.
They absolutely do. And that leads to the topic of your video about cold sores and being persistent little bastards, right?
Yeah, I did a video on cold sores because I'm suffering with one now.
It is swearing in this podcast. Bastards.
It's all coming from you. I had a cold sore. It's now in the scab phase. And My whole video was about that. I hate the things. They're painful. They're annoying. And if you rub your eyes after touching it, they can travel along the optic nerve into your brain. You can get encephalitis, which is the aim of the little peckers. Cold sores are a virus. So some scientists believe viruses are not even actually alive. They're closer to crystals than anything else. And they get a host to replicate them like crazy, even though they can't appreciate it because they have no sentience. Here's the bottom line. Cold sores don't go away. You get better at overcoming them, but when your immune system is up to scratch, they migrate along neurons and they hide in your frickin' spine.
Yeah.
And then when your resistance is low, like mine was after an exhausting work teaching architecture of hypnosis with Chris, then I got a frickin' cold sore on the final day because my exhaustion in that had given them, these little opportunistic peckers, a chance to get me. But cold sores are amazing because they are persistent. They don't give up. Yeah. The cold sore I get is the same one I used to get when I was 5 years old in the same spot.
Yeah.
And so their persistence has brought turmoil and annoyance to me. If a stupid little crystal can be that persistent, what can you do?
Yeah, I think you can too. And that is something, when I think back to my two best qualities. Yeah, I know Mike's looking at the clock here that we've got to wrap up this podcast. But here are the two best qualities that I think I have.
He doesn't have cold sores. Yep.
One is that I believe I have the ability to learn a lot of new things. So I can keep learning. If there's something I don't know, I can figure it out. I'm resourceful. I can find a solution.
Your special needs child.
Okay. The second thing is I will not freaking quit. I will not give up.
You have persistence. You really do.
I will not quit. I will just stay at it and find a new way to tweak whatever it is that I'm doing.
Not Carpe Diem seize the day, but the Carpe Zoa Scroticus, seize life by the scrotum.
That's right.
You really seize life by the scrotum.
I will be Jack the Tweaker, and I will find a better way, an improvement. I will learn something new. I'll get better and better until I will look back and go, wow, I ate the elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, that's good.
So that is an important quality, and I really think it's worth modeling. I don't know where I modeled it from. I'm not the only one on the planet to have that two set of
persistence
things,
is an important trait.
What
was the other one?
Learning. The ability to say, you know what, I can figure this out. I can go out and figure that out.
I'm not so sure about that one.
And I don't know. Maybe that's from my childhood and growing up with a dad who's an engineer and being very curious about how things work. But I know I can figure stuff out. I can learn new things, and then I just won't quit.
Well, why don't you let me do the empowering question today?
Well,
because I've let you just Ken sweat in this entire podcast. I think I've actually said about 3 sentences, so I'm going to seize some of the air back. Here we go. Here's the empowering question for today. What have I heard in this podcast that I will adopt today as my own? What is the one thing that has grabbed me while listening today, and what will I do about it now?
That's a great question, Mike.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. So we're going to close this podcast with the Meta 5 of... What are we calling it?
Well,
we're calling it...
I called it...
It's not a Meta 4, it's a Meta 5.
It's a Meta 5
because we've
ours are better,
them. And we gave it a name here even.
I did.
It's right here. It's the Meta 4 is Choice You Made.
Look on your cheat sheet.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Here's the story of Choice You Made. Delivered by Chris Thompson this week.
Bring it on, son.
All right. So, many years ago, we were sitting in the pub after our regular Wednesday night jiu-jitsu class. And the Wednesday night jiu-jitsu class was always a fun time. I'd go there after work and hang out with my friends and neck crank people and axe hand, chin jab and elbow strike people. Then we'd go out to a little bar called the Winchester Arms and we'd have a pint of beer or a glass of wine and make hilarious jokes and get into fights. Well, not really, just kidding around. But we would have a great time. And that would, say 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock, we'd be hanging around. Somewhere around 10 o'clock, this one night, I looked down at my watch, thought, it's 10 o'clock. I better start wrapping up because I got to get to work in the morning. So I announced to Mike and the rest of the guys, I said, guys, I got to head out. I have to be at work at 5:30 in the morning, or I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to get to work. Of course, thinking, well, I've got this white-collar job. I'm a stock analyst. I'm an important guy. I got to get up and start my work. Well, Mike just looked right up at me and he said, choice you made. I thought, what kind of a comment is that? And I was annoyed at first. And then I thought about it and I realized that he was telling me I don't have to get up at 5:30. I have chosen in the past to take on this career that required me to get up at that hour. And I realized, actually, yeah, I made that as a past decision, but it's not something that I have to keep deciding to do. It's not a choice I made. It's a choice I'm making, present tense and into the future. And I can change that choice at any point in time. Now, fast forward many years later, I don't have that job anymore. I work for myself. And some people would say, Mike works for me too. But really, I work for him. We work for each other, and it's awesome. And the beauty is, now I can wake up, and I can have breakfast with my kids, see them off to school, and I can work when I bloody well want to. And I work a lot, and I love what I do. And I never think of it as work. I always think of it as fun. But if Mike hadn't said to me, choice you made, maybe none of this would have happened.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Chris. You have been listening to Brain Software Podcast number 101. Head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating because we thrive on that. We are here for you. Go to MikeMandelHypnosis.com and look at all the awesome stuff on our website and
free brain software ebook, MikeMandelHypnosis.com.
Thanks again.
And good night.
Every now and then I get a little bit lonely. Never coming round. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit nervous. The best of all the years have gone by. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified, and then I see the look in your eyes. Bright eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. Turn around, bright eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. And I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever. And we will only be making, we'll never get it wrong. You know I need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna. How brilliant!
We did not rehearse that.
Obviously.